What's good? It's Woog. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. Vasily Lomachenko improves to 15-2 with an outstanding performance. TKO victory over Masayoshi Nakatani. I thought going into this fight, Vasily Lomachenko was going to have his hands full. Not only is he coming off of a loss, it's not a loss that he got knocked out or anything, but it was a upset loss. Teofimo Lopez, who people did not think was going to beat Lomachenko. They thought he was going to be outclassed and either stopped late or just, out sweet science, outboxed, just taken to school by Lomachenko. It wasn't the case. Teofimo Lopez took all of his belts. So we're going into the Lomachenko versus Nakatani fight. Nakatani's coming off of a very back and forth dramatic knockout win over Felix Verdejo. And just prior to that, Nakatani had performed very well against Teofimo Lopez, and this was before Lopez versus Lomachenko. So as Lopez is kind of working up the ranks, developing more and more of a reputation and kind of landing on more radars, this was one of those fights that was supposed to be a Teofimo Lopez showcase against Nakatani. Nakatani turned out to exceed all expectations, made it very rough for Teofimo Lopez, especially in those early rounds where Teofimo Lopez was kind of overwhelmed by Nakatani's length, his aggressive style, his looping trajectory on his right hand. There were a lot of matchup issues that Teofimo Lopez faced, to where after the fight he said in the post-fight interview in the ring, I don't think I should be fighting these taller fighters. So Lomachenko is making his return after that decision loss against Teofimo Lopez, and he's giving up about 5 inches in height against Nakatani. And when Lomachenko fought Lopez was the bigger fighter, where it was, size as well as skill and explosion that was kind of keeping Lomachenko off him for the first several rounds. Lomachenko he didn't come into the professional ranks at 135. He made a big splash at 126 featherweight, ran roughshod at 130. And then he fought at 135 and had more difficulty there than he did in a lot of his past fights in the lower weight classes. So the idea going in is Lomachenko going to be able to outbox this aggressive Nakatani, kind of keep this bigger, hard-hitting, durable Nakatani off of him, and, hopefully win a decision. I don't know how many of y'all thought that Lomachenko was going to win via stoppage or knockout, but I thought that this was going to be a very give and take battle, and Lomachenko was going to have to get grimier, just dirtier, and was going to have to absorb more punishment than he did even in his 2 losses. He was going to get hit more than he got hit against Lopez and against Orlando Salido early in his career. Well, the first couple rounds, first of all, there was a big headbutt that caused blood to flow down Lomachenko's face. Luckily, that headbutt was like top of the head and not anywhere near the eyes. But after the first or second round, this is where they, use the proverbial computing data. You've got very technical fighters like Lomachenko, where they say that they are downloading the data in the early rounds. Floyd Mayweather, the same thing, basically gauging their opponent, gauging range and tendencies to where they have you figured out by the 3rd, 4th, and, beyond. Well, it didn't take Lomachenko too long to figure out what Nakatani was trying to do, and he being Lomachenko, seemed to detect a vulnerability where if you get on the inside of Nakatani, you could really start doing damage, and the threat from Nakatani isn't the same as when you are fighting him at range, where, again, Lomachenko's giving up 5 inches in height and even more in reach. We're talking a 65.5-inch reach for Lomachenko to a 71-inch reach for Nakatani. Well, there were a lot of these kind of clinches, or I'll say near clinches, where, if the ref doesn't break you up and separate you, it's technically a situation that you're supposed to fight through. But for some reason, there was Nakatani at least thought that there was some implied ceasefire where, since Nakatani's not throwing punches, I guess he's assuming that Lomachenko's just going to kind of chill out and wait for the ref to come and break them up, and then they re-engage. Well, no. This is an experience gap here where Lomachenko knows the game. He's saying, hey, just because you stop throwing punches and you think that this is a clinch and an implied ceasefire doesn't mean that I need to comply with that. I don't see the ref breaking us up. So Lomachenko actually found some great opportunities to do some real damage in those half clinches. And, it was revealed in this fight, Lomachenko's not only the more skilled fighter, but he's the nastier, meaner fighter as well, to where he just banged to Nakatani, to where Nakatani got, dropped. And Nakatani's like getting hit in these half clinches where he's looking over his shoulder like, damn, Loma, chill out. Lomachenko was on a mission here, and he also looked very strong, just bodily wise and even in punching power, didn't he? Like, Lomachenko stopped most of his opponents. Out of his 14 wins leading into this fight, I think 10 were by knockout or stoppage, many of which quit on the stool. And Loma even had a couple knockout and stoppage wins at 135. So it's not like Lomachenko's ever been pillow fisted, but you would probably think that going into this fight, Nakatani might have the heavier punch. I don't know if we had enough evidence to support that, but I feel like that was kind of the consensus to where Lomachenko was going to have to skill his way through. Well, he did skill his way through, and also early in the fight, there were two times where Nakatani hit the canvas that were not ruled a knockdown. And as I'm watching the fight, I'm thinking, wait a second. If Lomachenko lands a clean shot on Nakatani to where his balance is disrupted and then he tries to hold on and is unable to hold on and he hits the canvas, isn't that a knockdown? So there were two knockdowns where at least one of those two should have been an official knockdown. Both of them were ruled a slip by the referee. Well, as the fight continued, you saw Lomachenko started to find Nakatani repeatedly with that left hand. And not only was he changing levels and timing Nakatani's body perfectly to where he was throwing these punches that were completely unobstructed. Nakatani's head and neck were all just whipping back. It looked like, remember that round where Teofimo Lopez had then undefeated Keith Thurman really badly hurt in the middle rounds, and you saw Keith Thurman start getting hit with shots where his whole head was whipping back? Nakatani was not rolling with these Lomachenko left hands well at all. And since Nakatani was trying to land his long-range shots, and he did catch him with some nice shots. Even with the left hand, he would hit him with a few really nice uppercuts to the body. Like, Nakatani was trying to punish Lomachenko to the body, but Lomachenko was doing an even deadlier job punishing Nakatani to the body. Sometimes immediately after getting hit with the body shot, he would come right back with something even more vicious. Well, Nakatani was sometimes trying to land that long right hand or a left hook, and the shortness of Lomachenko's right, because he's a southpaw, right hook, the tightness of it got there way sooner to where, boom, he would just land perfectly on Nakatani. And I cannot overemphasize the cleanliness of these Lomachenko punches. Well, Nakatani got knocked down in the 5th round, and then he was just getting battered from that point on. And again, he would, in little pockets, find moments to land something significant against Lomachenko, but Lomachenko was just a man on fire here. He just kept moving forward, and even when he looked like he might have exhausted himself with too many punches or by throwing too many punches, Lomachenko would find a moment to kind of get his energy back and then would just continue the onslaught where, they could have stopped this fight moments before it was actually stopped. He got dropped again and then got stopped in the 9th round to where Nakatani by that point was just completely defenseless. Like, you saw him even grimacing in the face, visibly hurt by some of these attacks, like both to the body and up top. It was just an outclassing, and I thought that this was going to be a very competitive fight. And again, there were punches, significant punches that were landed by Nakatani, but the overwhelming damage was done by Lomachenko, even after he received that cut in the 1st round to his head. I was just surprised that Nakatani, he made some adjustments kind of early in those rounds to where you would see him, catch Lomachenko coming inside and then hit him with like a nice uppercut to like the solar plex area. And you would see what Nakatani was trying to do, but there were just too many techniques that Lomachenko was using that just left Nakatani naked at the end of the day and super vulnerable to power punch after power punch. Lomachenko was just getting nasty in there and just roughing him up. and just displaying the different levels of class. It was really an outstanding performance. And for anybody who had any question as to where Lomachenko was at this stage of his career, and keep in mind, he also has suffered multiple injuries to the same shoulder. So as much as this was like a stylistic potential matchup nightmare for Lomachenko, this was also a, hey, is he all the way repaired and injury free to where Lomachenko is still prime Lomachenko? And with a performance like that, it's tough to doubt. And yes, I would love to see Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko too. And of course, this is assuming Teofimo Lopez gets by his mandatory George Kambosos, which I expect him to. And I did a preview video before the fight was postponed due to Teofimo Lopez catching COVID. But we'll have another look at that fight as the date approaches. It looks like they're either shooting for the August date or perhaps even a September date on Triller. But yeah, Lomachenko looked brilliant here. I would love to see Lomachenko versus Gervonta Davis. Although after that spectacular knockout win for Davis over the super game and much bigger Mario Barrios, you know, Floyd Mayweather, Davis's promoter, manager, mentor, said that they want to keep their fights in-house and not leave the PBC ecosystem, which he says that they have a lot of great fighters at 130 and 135. I definitely disagree with that. I think that their lack of good fighters at 130, 135 is the reason why Gervonta Davis had to go up to 140 to create an interesting, compelling matchup. So yeah, I hope that Floyd and PBC are just bluffing in that assertion that they want to keep everything in-house for Tank Davis, because I would love to see cross-promotional matches between, you know, Lomachenko and Davis, Lomachenko and Devin Haney, Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez too, obviously, and so forth. You know, after watching this Lomachenko fight, for instance, I don't have any doubt, or very, very little doubt, that Lomachenko would completely dismantle Ryan Garcia, who fights on DAZN through Golden Boy right now. And it's not just recency bias, it's the... You're not going to just... Look, I would be shocked if Lomachenko just gets cleaned up with a punch where he's just out cold. I mean, it could happen. This is boxing. But I think it's just so much more likely that Lomachenko finds the vulnerabilities in the Ryan Garcia skill set and just exploit those in a similar way that he just did here versus Nakatani. Lomachenko is a total badass. And, you know, I was wrong in thinking... I had Lomachenko winning via decision in a close fight. That was my prediction. But no, I didn't think that this was just going to be a completely dominant ass kicking. We have not seen Nakatani get beaten up this badly, let alone stop. Now, Teofimo Lopez Jr.'s dad, Teofimo Lopez Sr., his trainer as well, said that this isn't the same Nakatani because his son, Teo Jr., put such a beating on him, even though it was a competitive fight, a decision win, that Nakatani had to stay in the hospital multiple days, was even contemplating retirement, and that we're basically working now with damaged goods in Nakatani. Look, I'm not going to totally refute that. I do think that there's a level of narrative building in that claim, but no, you know, based on Nakatani's performance over Felix Verdejo, I do think that Nakatani was still a very dangerous in-game opponent and capable of presenting a lot of challenges to Lomachenko. But yeah, Lomachenko, you know, solved this one with flying colors, and I can't wait to see what's next in this 135-pound division. I just hope we get some of these dream cross-promotional matches made. But boy, what a performance by Loma. You know, after 3 rounds, I think the CompuBox had Nakatani landing like only 10% of his punches. That's like Floyd Mayweather type defensive brilliance. You know, I'd say that the 3rd and the 4th rounds were probably the best for Nakatani. I thought that there were moments in the 4th where he actually hurt Lomachenko to the body, as I mentioned. There were also, you know, several clashes of heads. You know, there was that cut in the 1st round caused by a headbutt, and since it was Orthodox versus Southpaw in a fight where Lomachenko had to close the distance closely, and Nakatani would change levels to try to meet him, it was almost inevitable that it was going to be one of those types of fights. But again, there were nasty uppercuts from Nakatani and then great responses from Lomachenko. He just destroyed Nakatani in this fight. By the way, did anybody catch the lower third graphic when they showed Teofimo Lopez Sr., where they called him Gene Simmons, you know, of Kiss fame? I thought that was kind of hilarious. They eventually flashed to Gene Simmons, I believe, after that, but yeah, that was funny. I don't know if production didn't know that they were going to cut to Teofimo Lopez Sr. first. It was just kind of funny to see Teofimo Lopez Sr. called Gene Simmons. But anyway, yeah, great performance from Loma. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Great work from Lomachenko, finding a home for that left hand and just doing damage on the inside, especially in those half clinches. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.